Welcome to Touchdown Town on BetsTV. I'm Gilles Gallant with FTNBets and BetsTV. It's week 12, Brenden. Season is just flying by. And I feel like Thanksgiving kind of took a little bit out of us here, especially maybe to our neighbors down south. Interesting games on Thursday, but I think we're ready for a huge bounce back this week. And we're here every Sunday morning helping you make top quality decisions for your touchdown prop bets. I'm going to welcome in my co-host, Brenden Deeg of National Football Post, who is adamant that he is going to have the strongest week of the year this week. Brenden, welcome to the show. I think you got to unmute yourself, my man.
Sorry, talking to myself here. But I said hopefully ending this cold streak. It's been a little bit of a rut the last few weeks. So you parlayed all 5 of my picks. You told me this morning. So I think it's a little sprinkle of good luck.
Well, that's the incentive. Basically, I was just like, look, I'm taking all your picks and I'm parlaying all 5. So they're already guaranteed to win. So let's ride with that. And I think that's the one thing for anybody who has only been maybe watching the show over the last 2 weeks or even 3 weeks or even just all season, is that this is part of the deal of betting touchdown scores long-term for a full season. The market and results have major swings week to week. Favorites fall short, just like the long shot bets that we'll put in. And there's injuries as well that you don't really anticipate. Like, for example, 3 of my last 5 touchdown score picks, if you take them just from Thanksgiving, they all fell short and they all got hurt in the first half. And basically, like, Darren Waller gets hurt, DeAndre Swift breaks his shoulder, essentially. I mean, it even translated over to basketball. Even John Morant probably tore his knee up after I bet him. So
you've had the injury bug lately.
I know. I'm like the kiss of death right now. So last week I did all right with 2 and 4. Thankfully, the Marquez Valdez-Scantling audible that I threw in on instead of Rashad Bateman, or I still played both of them, but that kind of helped me to swing by for some profits for this week. So we're going to try to build on that. Now, before we get started with the picks, I just want to remind everybody to check out my weekly show, Dog Day Afternoon. That is Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. This past week, I had OddsShark's Joe Osborne, good friend of mine. We came on to talk NFL futures. We made some Thanksgiving picks as well, and obviously we swept the board. I mean, clearly, So we're going to get started now with touchdown score picks. My first pick of Week 12, Brenden. We're going to the Patriots-Titans game. And we're going for a revenge game. We're going with Jonnu Smith, anytime touchdown at plus 310. I got those odds at DraftKings. And as I stated, it is a revenge game. And even though Jonnu hasn't made the splash in New England like I had hoped since he came over, it's not like he's in the doghouse either. Like, he's second on the team in red zone targets. He also has 3 red zone carries this season, so he's very versatile. He scored his lone touchdown this season at home against the Buccaneers. And what I think how this game script is going to go for this Titans defense is I think most of their defensive attention is likely going to be put on stopping the run of Damian Harris or Ramondre Stevenson or even Hunter Henry, who has just been unstoppable lately in catching touchdowns. And the fact remains that the Titans have really struggled all year to stop the pass. They've given up 4 touchdowns in tight ends this season, but they're bottom for wide receivers. So giving up the pass in general across the board, they're very vulnerable in that spot defensively. And also just from a revenge game standpoint, I've talked about this before, but generally with revenge game bets, I tend to avoid those for props because I feel like 99% of the time when somebody presents that option to me, it's rarely a player who's still in his prime, like returning for revenge. It's a guy who has played on the team for 10 years, coming off injury, and is coming back, and now, he's the backup running back or the third tight end or wide receiver on the team. Generally, it doesn't usually match up where you feel comfortable betting it just because you don't know how involved they are going to be from a role standpoint. But Jonnu, for me, I think is still going to be heavily involved today. I think he can expose this defense. Brenden, that's my first pick of the week, Jonnu Smith, plus 310.
Yeah, he hasn't really lived up to that contract so far this year. He's been battling injuries. They haven't really needed him either. Hunter Henry's kind of taken over, but he's going to get playing time when he's healthy. He's getting paid a lot of money, so he's not going to be sitting on the bench. And I think a revenge game, like, it's usually not something you want to kind of have back here, but in this game, I actually think it is something. He was beloved in Tennessee going back there. I think he's going to ball today. I think he's going to be heavily involved.
And I think just one of those, exactly what you said, is just the running game aspect. Like, Tennessee did that all the time with him last year, where they would hand it like similar to what they were doing with like Jarvis Landry in Cleveland right now, like where he'll get the carries over Nick Chubb sometimes in the backfield. And they were doing that with Jonnu, and they have done that a couple of times this year with the Patriots, but not as much. Obviously, I don't think they need to when you have Stevenson and Harris and Bolden to a lesser extent just running all over the field. So, all right, Brenden, let's hear your first pick of Week 12.
Okay, so I'm sticking with the same game here, going with a running back. I'm going to that Tennessee Titans backfield. It's been kind of chaotic lately. But I'm going with Dontrell Hilliard plus 290.
Hilliard.
And
Okay.
look, there's been kind of this backfield's been chaotic the last 2 weeks ever since Henry went out. No one really knows who's going to be RB1, RB2. I know Ian Rappaport had a report earlier today, and I think you're going to touch on it after my breakdown here, that Foreman will get most of the touches. But the reason I'm taking this pick and my biggest kind of back for this is the Patriots have actually allowed the third most receiving yards to running backs in the NFL this season. They've been actually pretty good. They've been one of the better teams stopping the run, but back to the backfield catching the ball, they've had some problems. And he is going to be the third down back. Again, that Rappaport article came out that he's going. Foreman's going to be getting most of the touches. But look, the entire fantasy world last week was telling everyone to start Foreman. It didn't happen. Hilliard ended up playing over 60% of the snaps. So at plus 290, if you're getting a guy that's going to be playing, especially a Tennessee Titans running back, over 60% of the snaps, and against a defense that can't or has had trouble stopping the pass from the backfield, I think this is a good look. It was one of the kind of first picks that stuck out to me. And the Titans need to win this game. They're going to have to battle. They're going to have to kind of mix up some play calls. They have no A.J. Brown, no Julio. All the stars are out, so they need someone to step up. And Hilliard's got juice. I think he's got more juice than Foreman, and I think he'll earn his playing time almost as the game goes on.
The question I was actually going to ask you today, Brenden, was not necessarily who do you think would be the better pick, Foreman or Hilliard out of the backfield. I think they've already pretty much defined that Hilliard is going to be the pass-catching back, and if this defense is playing well against the run like they're supposed to, he's going to get a lot of playing time as a result. But the guy that I want to know what your thoughts were is, what do you think about potential of somebody playing Ryan Tannehill at like plus 400 to plus 450 in this game instead of whoever, Jeff Swain or something like that for the Titans?
No, it's a good look. I just think it's going to be kind of different scenarios. Like I think Hilliard, like when Tannehill always gets like those at the 1 or 2 yard line, right? They kind of do the play action fake and he'll kind of scurry out for a touchdown. He's more of kind of like the power run game. I think I'm taking him for that third down value. I think the Patriots are going to have trouble with the running backs of the backfield in this game. The Titans are going to have to scheme them up. And like, again, it's more of just not like the power run, like at the goal line. I think they'd rather do a sneak with Tannehill or give the ball to Foreman. He's kind of the bigger guy. This is more of kind of like the third down in the red zone back. And it's where the odds are like plus 290 for a running back on the Titans. It's really good. It's really good value.
That's what I was going to say, is going back to that, the odds of where it's at, just because you know how much he's going to be factored into the offense. I think they're overcorrecting on the odds because they're facing the Patriots defense on the road. So, all right, one pick in for each of us. Let's move on to pick number 2, Brenden. This one, I picked them last week in prime time. I felt dirty picking it. I'm going to do it again because I'm just a dirty dude. I'm going to take Evan Ingram anytime touchdown at plus 300 from DraftKings. And I'm going back to the well because if you're a tight end and you're facing the Philadelphia Eagles, there is a strong chance I'm going to bet on you. But just like last week, got Adam Troutman, Big Trout, at plus 500 with the Saints. He caught us.
That was the play of the week, man. That was the play of the week.
Oh, it was a great touchdown over the middle. And that's kind of what I see, or at least can envision Ingram being able to do, because I think he is a better pass catcher than Troutman, maybe probably just not like a zero as a blocker. And the Eagles really, I'm sorry, man. I know you're head to toe in Eagles gear, man, but they are trash against tight ends this season. Like 8.5 catches per game, 73 yards per game, 9 total touchdowns to tight ends. Each of those metrics is last in the NFL. Plus the fact that for Ingram, Kyle Rudolph was playing nearly the same amount of snaps for him, but he's doubtful. So that automatically is going to bump up Ingram's chances to score. And he already plays over 75% of the snaps, and he's third on the team in targets despite playing 2 fewer games. And I guess what I would say, I wish that I could have got better value. Like I've seen him as high as plus 400 early in the week. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure. And then I was like, you know what? Plus 300, I'm grabbing him. So I'm willing to get my heart broken again with Ingram. But that's the deal, man. You got to basically bet tight ends right now when they're playing the Eagles. And I apologize for slighting your team, even though I'm sure you would take a shot on the Cowboys if you ever had a chance.
No worries. I think we've said it, last 3 weeks, Eagles have one of the worst linebacking rooms and one of the worst safety rooms in the NFL. And I also really like this pick, Gilles, because Sterling Shepard's out, Kadarius Toney's out, Kyle Rudolph's out, Barkley's banged up, John Ross is banged up. Ingram's probably, if you look at around, he's probably the number one guy, the number one target on that offense right now with all the injuries. So plus 230 is really good.
Yeah, I
odds,
think he could
especially
take
against a
like
good.
I was going to say, I think he could take like almost like a Kyle Pitts style role, maybe being out
Mhm.
wide a little bit more so than in the slot or just off of the line. So that's my second pick for Sunday of Week 12. Brenden, let's hear your second pick.
Okay, so my second pick, we are going with your boy. You like this guy a lot. Noah Fant, Denver Broncos. He's plus 230.
Bet him a
With the
couple
tight
weeks
end.
already.
Yeah, look, so the LA Chargers, so you talk about the Eagles being really bad against tight ends. The LA Chargers are right behind them. They've allowed 8 touchdowns to tight ends this year. At plus 230, I thought it was really good value. And I think this is kind of a must-win game for Denver. They're coming off by they got spanked by the Eagles. Like, I'm not trying to put it lightly, not to say as an Eagles fan, but it was a rough game for that team, and they need a bounce-back win here. Division game. They can't come out soft. And I think Noah Fant is like one of those guys that's not kind of waiting to break out. Like, you're kind of waiting for that extra juice from him, and they're going to need him if this Denver offense is going to kind of take off and be average to get them to the playoffs or get them in that playoff contention. They're gonna really rely on him, and I'm hoping he's gonna have a good second half of the season. He was kind of a fantasy darling this year that hasn't really hit his ceiling, so I like these odds a lot, and a lot has to do with just the Chargers defense against tight ends. That's kind of the main reason.
Absolutely, and I think you made a great point. Like, one of the things, he checks all the boxes for this week, so the odds are decent, the matchup is great, the stats are there, like as far as involvement in the offense. So at plus 225, plus 230, like pretty much anything over plus 200 is pretty much accurate, but good value to take no offense. So yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. All right, moving on to the third pick of the week for myself. Cashed on him last week, Brenden. Very last minute chance, but I'm going to put it in again. Marquez Valdes-Scantling with the Packers. Anytime touchdown at plus 310. Got those odds at BetMGM. And the reason why I like MVS, man, he has as many red zone targets as Randall Cobb and Allen Lazard, and he's played 4 less games. He's second on the team in snap counts at wide receiver, just overtook Lazard this past week. And my theory is about this game with the Rams and Packers is I think Jalen Ramsey is going to have to shadow Devontae Adams the entire game if the Rams want a chance to win. Even last year in the playoff game when they hosted them, that's what they tried, and it didn't go well. But so that's why I like MVS to come through for us again this week, because I think Jalen Ramsey, who is, in my opinion, if not a top 3 corner, he's definitely the best corner on the team, but the top 3 corner in the NFL, that's who's going to match up with Devontae. So it should leave more options for MVS to be able to score. And the Rams, even though I think about them as just being such a strong defense, they've allowed 4 touchdowns to wide receivers in the last 3 games. I mean, last week, Deebo Samuel pretty much did whatever he wanted. A little foreshadowing here for later in the show. And he scored for us last week on a 75-yard touchdown. And I fully expect Aaron Rodgers to continue to take some shots downfield with him, or even Allen Lazard. But MVS at plus 310, love those odds, love the pick, love the situation. And that's going to be my third pick of Sunday.
Packers quietly missed him, when he was injured. Their offense, because it wasn't the same. That deep threat, like him just being able to stretch that field, is a huge aspect to that Packers offense. And I think he's fixed his drop problems. I think Green Bay fans were kind of ripping him, and they weren't too happy. I think he had, I don't know if it was last year or before that, but he had some big time drops and some big time moments, and they're going to need him. Like, they need that field stretcher.
At the start of the year, what was silly about him was that he was getting open. It was Rodgers who was having these just gaff of passes, like, and just throwing it over his head or throwing it at his feet. And people are just like so frustrated because in those weeks when he was playing, he was probably like plus 200, plus 220 to score. I know a lot of people who bet on him and were frustrated clearly when he wasn't scoring. So that's 3 picks in for me. Brenden, let's hear your third pick of Sunday for week 12.
Okay, so my third pick, my absolute favorite pick of the week. We are going with
favorite pick.
You know this is coming. My boy, Boston Scott, plus 320. Yes. Man, he has been a giant killer, Gilles. The stats are kind of alarming or outstanding. I couldn't believe it when I was doing my research for this. Boston Scott in 4 career games against the Giants. He has 58 touches, 432 yards, and 6 touchdowns. And no Jordan Howard today. Like, he's going to be able to get a lot of touches. He's going to be very active in this offense. He's going to be like Miles Sanders, in my opinion, is going to be on a short leash. So he's going to be very involved, and Miles Sanders can't kind of get some yards. And I don't think these coaches really trust Sanders yet in the passing game. So I do think Boston Scott will automatically be the third down back. And look, I know kind of like the push to a guy that's good against another team is kind of like not really the best reason you want to take this, but it's been over a good track record. Like, it's been over 2 seasons. There's something about Boston Scott against the Giants. And I couldn't believe he was at plus 320. These odds are really, really juiced up. I thought he was going to be in the plus 190, plus 80 range. I was all over this. My eyes lit up, Gilles, when I saw this one.
Yeah, Brenden, I think the reason why he's listed at those odds is I think odds makers are thinking that we're going to go back to week 1 to week 4 situation before Sanders got hurt, where Sanders is the lead, Kenneth Gainwell's out there on 3rd down, and Boston Scott might get 1 or 2 carries for the game. And I'm with you. I don't think that that's the case. I think Sanders is still recovering. I think as well they want to give Boston Scott some more opportunities, especially with the way they've been running. I think they've also increased the line just because of the fact that Jalen Hurts, when they're in the goal line, has just been so assertive and been like, yeah, I'm the one who's doing it this time. And obviously you saw that 3 touchdowns against the Saints this past week. So I think that's why. But at the same time, I'm with you. The odds are great. So I think you have to almost take that just because of the way that the Eagles have been running. Like right now, I think over the last 5 to 6 weeks, easily the first team ranked in the NFL.
Second best rush offense over their last 4 games. It's been like a complete 360.
So perfect, yeah.
Complete 360. This offense is now a running first offense, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. On top of that, are you not wearing Cowboys gear because they're not playing, or are you just pissed off that they lost?
Both. Well, and option number 3, laundry. I just most of my wardrobe is Cowboys stuff, but I just had to obviously take care of some regular priorities. Obviously, the loss against the Raiders really left a bad taste in my mouth. I was at my buddy's house for that game, head to toe in Cowboys gear, and just wanted to like go hide in a corner because of how bad that loss was. So, okay, well, enough whining and moping. Let's get on to the 4th pick of the show for me. And I got a little bit ahead of the odds on this one. CLV hasn't really boded well for me long-term when it comes to touchdown scores, but I'll take the better odds in this case. And it's going to be Rex Burkhead. Anytime touchdown at plus 330. I got it at Bet365. I bet that on Saturday morning, and he has since gone down to plus 220. And I think the reason being is I think he's going to be getting a lot more of the carries, but also the Jets are like the worst team in the NFL in stopping running backs from reaching the end zone. 22 total touchdowns allowed so far this season to running backs. And they're the only team to rank in bottom 3 in the NFL in both passing yards and rushing yards and receiving yards to running backs. I think Burkhead and Johnson are going to split the carries. I think Burkhead might actually get a little bit more of a carry share here, especially now that Phillip Lindsay is gone and Mark Ingram. And he led the team with 18 carries last week when they were up on the Titans. And you're seeing the Texans offense, even though I still think they're bottom 5 team in the NFL, they just do move better with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. So Rex Burkhead at plus 330. I still like it at plus 220 if you can get it at those odds. I wouldn't take it less than plus 200, but that is my 4th pick of the show for week 12.
He had 18 carries last week. He's played over 40% of the snaps last few weeks. No more Phillip Lindsay, right? That running back room is a little less crowded. So, and I hate to say, I'm huge on the Texans this week. I think that's one of my favorite bets.
It's the Jets.
And, no, it's one of the games I don't want to watch. So, like, I'm pissed that I like it that much because I'm actually gonna have to invest my time into it on the second TV. But I like this pick a lot. Like, he's gonna be getting play time. It looks like they've kind of accepted him and David Johnson to kind of be the 2 backs. That backfield was just a crowded kind of old disaster. The first few weeks it was hard to kind of find any value, but I expect a lot of them. And I think the Texans are actually they're a different offense with Tyrod. They took down the Titans last week. I think it had a lot to do with the Titans play more than anything, but they're a better team than the Jets, and they should be able to put up points.
Well, the one thing I'll say before you say your 4th pick, this is a fun fact about Rex Burkhead. So he was obviously on the Patriots for the last 4 years. And he played the Jets 4 times in that span, whether just be injured or whatever. So in those 4 games, 4 touchdowns scored in each game.
There you go.
I'm not saying that you bet it just for that reason. Just saying historically he has torched the Jets. So let's get your 4th pick in, Brenden.
All right, I'm going with a show favorite. I think we've both taken him at least once or twice so far this year. Mike Gesicki plus 250 for the Miami Dolphins.
Hey,
I was staring at this game. There's a ton of value in it, and it's kind of teasing to the end of the show. And I just thought I'd go with the safe pick. He's got great odds for this game. I actually like the Dolphins. They're playing some really good football as of late as well. And I think they won 3 in a row now. And if they win again, they're kind of back into the wild card hunt. He's a top target on the Miami Dolphins. 6 targets last week, at least 6 targets in his last 3 weeks. So I think this is a safe pick, and I think Tua is going to be looking for him in the red zone. No Adam Shaheen as well in this team, so there's not the other big body tight end, so they're going to need him, and he's basically the best. Him and Jalen Water are the two guys that you're going to be looking for in the red zone. So I over plus 220, I think it's good value.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that pick. I mean, I've been on a Gesicki train pretty much since the start of the year.
It's
I
a
think
show
just
favorite.
with him, it's the odds. Like if it's lower than plus 200, I'm probably not going to bet it. And there have been some weeks when the Dolphins are playing, whether, like, for example, he was like plus 175 against the Jets. Not to say that he wouldn't score or that it isn't you shouldn't bet it. I just generally like to take bets over plus 200. And so anytime you can get him over plus 200, kudos.
Yep.
All right, Brenden, we're going to move on to the fifth picks here so we can round up the show. I had to throw in a little bit of a long shot here. This one is going to probably surprise some people. This is my final pick. I'm taking Carson Wentz anytime touchdown at plus 600 at DraftKings. And again, yeah, it is not the best matchup, obviously. Like the Bucs defense, they have been stout stopping the run this year. One of the few, I think they're top 3 in touchdowns allowed both to quarterbacks and running backs this year. But this is why I think Wentz is a sneaky pick. He has the physicality to run between the tackles and a great offensive line to be able to move the line and move the chains for him. And I think so much attention from the Buccaneers is going to be given to Jonathan Taylor that I envision the Colts at home. They're going to be at the 5-yard line. All eyes are on Taylor in this goal line situation. And Wentz sneaks it in through the back door, just like he did against the 49ers on the road. And I like to take guys that you wouldn't expect just because the stats say not to. Like this is the highest that odds have been for Carson Wentz since he scored versus the 49ers. Every other week he's been plus 450, plus 400. So at home, I'm willing to take this shot that he'll be able to score. Similar, like the mentality is kind of like the Ryan Tannehill mentality, why I kept betting him, because there's so much attention paid to Derrick Henry that teams just fall asleep on the quarterback on the play action handoff. And that's why I think Wentz can score in this matchup. Now, I will say that I almost bet on T.Y. Hilton at plus 260 instead of Wentz. I do like him to score today. I just don't trust him for him to make it through the game. So that's my fifth pick. Brenden, let's hear your final pick for Week 12 of Touchdown Town.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with that 2+ trend. Last week didn't hit, but I like this one a lot. I think he's become one of my favorite players in the NFL over the last few weeks. He's been dominant. Deebo Samuel 2+ plus 500.
Hey,
The Minnesota Vikings have allowed the most touchdowns to wide receivers over the last 4 weeks, and they've allowed I think it's the fourth most rushing touchdowns as well over that stretch. Their defense has been pretty bad, and Deebo Samuel has 2 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. He would become the only wide receiver to have a rushing touchdown in 3 straight weeks if he does it today. In the red zone, he is their go-to guy. He's basically a jack of all trades. He is a kind of a juiced up, Cordell Patterson, he is this year, but kind of like that kind of playing style. He's one of the funnest guys to watch in the NFL. And I thought his odds were going to be in that like plus 350, 400 range. When I saw it at plus 500, sign me up. He's the best player on the field in that game, man. And I think this is going to be kind of a shootout. 49ers are playing some good ball lately. And the loser of this game drops out of that wild card spot, and the Eagles can take a wild card spot with a win. So I'm going to be watching that game at 4:00, and yeah, it's going to be really good. Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, 2 exciting guys, and I think at these odds, man, it's a nice pick.
Well, I was going to say, usually I think it's appropriately priced, especially with his playing style. Like I'm thinking like Devontae Adams was the guy that would be the lowest price last season based on monthly touchdown scores. And when you would bet on it, you wouldn't get better than like plus 300, plus 350. And that just is like, that's running back one numbers. Like I'm not going to do that for a wide receiver one. Like it almost, like I'm not saying that these guys aren't talented, but that's Jerry Rice type of production. So like at plus 500, I like those odds a lot. All right. So that is our picks. We're going to read them back here quickly. So for example, I'll read them off. I had Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Rex Burkhead, and Carson Wentz. Brenden has Dontrell Hilliard, Noah Fant, Boston Scott, Mike Gesicki, and Deebo Samuel for 2 touchdowns. Now, before we go, we also want to do a collabo long shot bet. Somebody that we were texting about all week of whether or not we were going to take him or not. And it doubles down on the Gesicki pick, but it is Durham Smythe of the Miami Dolphins at plus 750 for DraftKings. And like we talked about, There's no Adam Shaheen. Smythe has been getting massive snap and target share over the last 3 weeks. He has more snaps than Mike Gesicki in 2 of the last 3 games. And Carolina has allowed 4 touchdowns to tight ends this season. That's slowly picking up as we see. And the odds just don't match up with the opportunity. Backup tight ends in his range, usually around plus 400, plus 500. If you're getting them over plus 700, you have to take a swing on this. So Brenden and I, even though it won't be an official pick, we're doing an official sprinkle pick. Put a little pancake money, a little pizza money, a little beer money, whatever your vice is. Put a little bit of that money to sprinkle on it for Durham Smythe to score this week at plus 750. Okay, well, we're all done for today. That's 5 picks from me, 5 picks from Brenden, 1 collabo pick. And we'll see you next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern on BetsTV for Touchdown Town. I'm going to have some touchdown score picks coming out later today for Sunday Night Football between the Browns and Ravens. Make sure to head over to FTNBets to get all of our NFL betting content. And you follow me on Twitter at GDog5000 and follow Brenden on Twitter at BrendenDeeg NFP. I want to thank you all for watching Touchdown Town. I'm Gilles Gallant with BetsTV. Bon chance.